Hi, this is Paul Palmer, and
Natasha Todorovic Cowan. And Paul, I love that you are on brand today, my brand.
I think it's probably the first time we've done it with us both on brand for Spiral Dynamics.
I am so grateful and appreciative.
So it's a copy of the workbook, the playbook, sorry, the playbook for managing change. So I thought
Yeah.
maybe we'd talk about how to assess maybe the start point and the steps before you wait for considering where you're going and actually getting there and what impacts whether it's achieved or whether things go wrong.
Well, I always start with where are we? And I always start with analysis. So we use a proprietary suite of spiral dynamics assessments to get where people are, their change readiness, their change preferences, and where they are in terms of psychosocial development as leaders and where teams are. And with that, we can get to culture. So once we understand that, then we can start to select the strategies, the tools, the tactics that align with who people are and what the starting point is. So we always ask from what to what. And, we just had a discussion about that.
Yeah, but it's more than just physically how from and to, isn't it? It's like you just said, it's the culture, it's about the people, it's about because often when I'm looking at change with I suppose a change management system,
Yeah.
the biggest thing I find when I'm doing an audit myself or when I'm looking at inspection findings is often the lack of consideration of the people involved.
Yeah. Yeah, and here's the thing, people think they're considering the people, but what we get at is the stuff that's below the surface, that people themselves don't fully recognize in themselves. Therefore, it's difficult for them to talk about it until it is only when you try to push change that is incongruent, when people push up against it,
Uh-huh.
that you find these unconscious things. And by then, you've already stepped into the mess.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point there, actually, congruence, because often you'll find when you're trying to make a change, there's a lot of different perspectives, and sometimes it's a case of bringing everybody up to or in some cases down to the starting point,
Yeah.
so that you can actually together make a change. Whereas a lot of people think, well, we've got to achieve this, so I'm focusing on the goal. But if you focus on the goal and you leave somebody at the beginning of the race, they're still not going to get there.
Exactly. So I'm in Los Angeles, you're in London,
Mhm.
and I say my goal is to get to London, right? And you're like, cool, Natasha, come to London. And I say, great, Paul, I'm ready. I have 12 football players. They're sitting in a boat. They're in the middle of the desert and they're going to row all the way to London.
Yeah, I'll see you someday, never, Natasha.
And that's the way we tackle change, right? It's like they're strong people, they're really good, right?
But they
But
don't understand what it is we're doing.
they don't understand what it is we're doing, and they've got the wrong vehicle, and that strategy not going to work.
I'm just imagining the football players trying to row that distance. Yeah, I'm going to do a sprint. Right, then we've made 100 meters.
Go harder. They've got the strength.
We've done 100 meters. Now we need a rest. Yeah, but
We've done 5 inches. We need a rest.
start again.
It'd be faster to carry that thing across the country.
Oh yeah, because you've got your west coast, so you got all the way across the land first.
They got to get across one desert, then they got to get across the plains, then they've got to get across the mountains, and then they've got to get across, wooded area. There's a long way to go.
I think you need to change the team.
But that's what we do with change, which is why 70% of change efforts fail, which is why most strategies fail, because they're not starting with the from what. They know where the goal is, and they haven't done the pieces in the middle. And that is, who is it? That is, whom, who do we have to manage? Who do we have to lead? Who is our customer? Who's our customer's customer? What are the strategies that are involved? What's the timing of all of this? Why are we doing this? Is there a better way? How do these methodologies fit the outcome and the goal?
And the relationships within.
And the relationships within, which are the human systems that we
Yeah.
specialize in. Yeah.
The bit that sometimes frustrates me is when I go into an organization and the only reason it works is because 2 or 3 key relationships keep it all moving.
Yeah.
And then you lose one of them and it all just falls apart completely.
And you don't always know which of those relationships and who those people are. And even those people don't know that
Yeah.
they're the glue that keeps everyone together.
It makes me think of an example where somewhere I've worked where they had one key person that made 80% of the decisions. They had procedures in place, but they didn't want to put the details in.
Yeah.
And he left suddenly. So who's making the decisions now? Well,
What do we do? I don't know. We're tripping over our feet to try to figure out what do we do?
and it's catching back and putting into place. And the SOPs are being updated to get updated to detail what should be happening.
Yeah.
But it should have been done before because you don't want to be relying on one person because you never
Well,
know what's coming.
yeah, it's the invisible. It's what you take for granted. It's what you think will always be there.
Yeah, things change.
That's why we specialize in the invisible people stuff. It's
Yeah,
fun.
and the
And
change playbook to get us there.
you know what? If you don't have a playbook and you don't have all the pieces figured out, you're not ready for change.
And if you do try, it's probably not going to work.
You got to get the right analysis in first. You always start with the analysis, and you
Yeah.
have to know what to analyze.
I
It's
think
pretty
that's a good
powerful.
place. I think that's a good place to end because analysis is a subject that's close to my heart, being a scientist. And I could go on probably for another 3 hours. So I think we'd better finish there. Okay, that's Paul Palmer and
Natasha Todorovic Cowan signing
yeah,
out.
talk to you soon.